Here at The Rock, Southern Miss loses 50-36. A wild game. You know, Jackson, I've been a part of Southern Miss coverage for 3 years now. It's my third year on the beat, and I have seen some wild Southern Miss games, and I think this one is near the top. I don't know if it's the most wildest one, but it is definitely near the top. Just an absolute insane game. Texas State comes out, looks like they're just going to flatten Southern Miss in every sense of the word. Demolished, flattened, eviscerated, everything you want to do to a team. They were fixing to do, up 21-0 before anybody blinked. 42-10 at halftime. Nothing going right for Southern Miss. They come out in the second half and stage what would have been the third largest comeback in FBS history that fell just short at the end there. So just too much to overcome from Texas State's score lead there. But lot to talk about, obviously. Crazy game. I think the biggest thing is it's just the theme we saw last week against Arkansas State. Arkansas State up 34-17, and Southern Miss having to fight their way back in the second half. So this is Instant Reactions, brought to you by Southern Miss Student Media. So, wow, what a game, Jackson. Just your initial thoughts after seeing that one.
My initial thoughts, and Dima has made me promise to stop being as verbose as I normally am on these, so I'll try and keep it short. But dang, that if you're a Southern Miss fan, that was rough. That was rough. 3 minutes in, you're down 21-0. That's wild. I mean, yeah, look, it's like, 11 minutes 48 seconds. Southern Miss is down 14-0, and it's kickoff, 100-yard return. Billy Wiles' first play, just a swatted pass that ends up being a pick, and they're already in the red zone. And then the second half, Dima, I'm going to go out on a limb. Second half, Southern Miss, that was the team that you and I watched in fall camp. That was the team that you and I predicted to go 8-4 and 7-5, respectively. That was the team that we thought could make it to, the Sun Belt West championship, or at least contend to be in that championship game. That was the team. That was the team, and they fell just short. And you've got to wonder, man, like the self-inflicted wounds, just some of the things that just really, really hurt, really stunk. And then I hate being that guy because I always kind of laugh the person out of the room. The no calls, there were some very questionable calls. There were 2 calls that really could have been fumbles in Southern Miss's favor. Nothing. Latrell Jones on that final drive that Southern Miss had, and in the first half, and in the first part of the fourth quarter, Latrell Jones was like tackle. It looked like that Ole Miss fan climbing up the goalpost after Ole Miss beat LSU. It looked like that. Like Latrell Jones jumped up, dudes wrapped all around them, and then the refs look at the highway patrolman the refs started mean mugging the highway patrolman for saying, "Hey, bud, I don't know if you're watching the same game as me, but I'm pretty sure that's PI." And then you show it on the scoreboard, and you see that the ball is here, like over there. And if Dima is Latrell Jones, guys already full out tackling him, throwing him to the ground. It was upsetting, but you can't let it get to that. Right. You can't let it get to that. And that first half, I don't know what it's been, but the last 2 weeks, the first half has just not been for Southern Miss. And one thing that really upset me was being a photographer, I'm walking up and down the sideline. And the energy was dead. And then Southern Miss comes back, and they start coming back, and the sideline gets into it. And what happens when the sideline gets into it? The fans get into it. You know what happens when the fans get into it? The team gets into it.
Yeah, it's momentum.
It's momentum. And then the first thing after, soon as Southern Miss doesn't get that third down stop. It's 3rd and 9. Southern Miss doesn't get that third down stop. Sideline dies. And that energy just kind of stops. Momentum stops. Texas State's able to kind of come back and score. And it was upsetting, man. It was really upsetting to see that Southern Miss could have won it. And I don't know. It's like if the second half team comes out and plays like they played in the second half, only allowing 8 points in an entire half to a team that you just surrendered 42 to in the first half, you've got to be optimistic. But what's the schism? What is the difference between that first half team and the team that you're seeing the rest of the time?
Yeah.
Because the second half team for both of the last times, that was some of the most impressive Southern Miss offense I've seen since I've been a college student. You know what I mean? Like Billy Wiles' second half looked locked in, and I wanted to put this out as a tweet, but I'll say it here. If you think Billy Wiles is the problem, you're an idiot. Like there's just I'm sorry, but looking at Billy Wiles in the second half, it's not him. It is not him by any stretch of the imagination, and you can come at me all you want, but from what I have seen, and I'm very close to the game, and then I'm on the field, and then I rewatched it on Sundays, Billy Wiles isn't the problem. And if Southern Miss figures out what is the difference between the first half and second half of their team, then they can do great things. Because if you look at Will Hall's first year, whenever they went 3-9, they were a first half team. You remember that, Dima? Mm-hmm. It was Will Hall's first year, and they played their hearts out. They had undefeated UTSA on the ropes, and they were leading, and they couldn't finish. North Texas came in here 3 years ago or 2 years ago, whenever it was, Will Hall year one, and after the game was over, I was sitting in the touchdown club because my girlfriend's a Dixie Darling, so I always sat there. And coach was like, hey, you know what? Hey, you just had to wait till they tired out. Southern Miss can't finish. And now it's Southern Miss can't start. But then they try and finish in miraculous ways. So just figuring out what that schism is could really be the turning point of the season. But overall, instant reactions, just what a – and I know that wasn't so instant. Stop laughing at me. But just, wow, what a wild game.
Yeah, I would say you can't give up 50 points and expect to win. I mean that's just the bottom line. No matter how crazy that comeback was and would have been if they would have completed it, you can't let it get to that. And what they showed in the second half, they were able to compete against this team. Like it's not like Texas State was that much better than them in my opinion. It's just they didn't come to this game ready to play. And they can say in the press conference that they came ready to play all they want, but you can't get on the field and go down 21-0 in the first 6 minutes of the game and say you came ready to play. I mean, that's to me is my instant reaction. So whatever that is, if that's in practice, if that's the pregame speech, whatever it is, that is what has to change. And I didn't think the refereeing was all that terrible tonight. I thought a few of the calls were definitely questionable, especially with the one Jackson's talking about with Latrell Jones. The two fumbles were the one fumble at the end was an incomplete pass that was confirmed on replay. So that was one of the other ones that fans were complaining about. But that was very, very evident that was an incomplete pass. And it's this video scoreboard, they're awful at showing replays. So what you're seeing on the video scoreboard is very different than what we see on the broadcast and the press box. So just wanted to clear that up. But I agree with Jackson. Billy Wiles, I thought had a good night. We're fixing to have a video on him. But the defense, man, I mean, you can't do it. You can't give up 42 points in the first half and expect to win. But one thing I would mention about the comeback, Texas State's defense was on this field tonight for like 75% of the game, right? So that is a very tired defense going against an offense with all these weapons. So when Southern Miss started just getting the ball back, and momentum started shifting, that Texas State defense started really, really struggling to even make tackles. You would have, players running down the field, and that's kind of what sparked that comeback. I'm sure Texas State got it to be way closer than they wanted it to be, but you have to give Southern Miss credit for responding that way. I think the biggest play of the game, in my opinion, was Jay Stanley knocking the ball out for the touchback, because there's 42-16 right there. This guy's running down the sideline. If it's 42-16, I'm not running 60 yards to go knock that ball out. I mean, but you have to give credit to Jay Stanley. He sparked that comeback. So that's our instant reactions. Much more of this on the postgame pod and the postgame story on smt2media.com and wherever you find your podcast. That's Jackson Kennedy. I'm Dima Mixon. Thanks for watching.